Brachythecium rutabulum, also known as rough-stalked feather moss or simply ordinary moss, mainly reproduces sexually, beginning with fertilization facilitated by specialized structures within gametophytes called gametophores. At the end of each gametophore, there are either male or female organs, termed gametangia, which produce gametes. The male organs, termed antheridia, produce many sperm, whereas the female organs, termed archegonia, each only produce a single egg at the bottom of a structure within the archegonium, termed the venter. The sperm is reliant on water for transportation via flagella-orchestrated motility from an antheridium to an archegonium, where it swims down the venter towards the egg in response to the archegonium releasing chemical substances that attract its movement, an example of chemotaxis. The fertilized egg develops into a zygote within the venter before developing into a diploid embryo via mitosis, which in turn develops into a diploid structure called a sporophyte, which has a brown egg-like sporangium, also termed a capsule. This capsule is on the end of a stalk-like structure called a seta, which has a rough texture. Within the sporophyte, there are cells termed mother cells which produce haploid spores via meiosis, which are released into the environment, and each one germinates to initially form a thread-like structure called a protonema. This structure develops bud-like structures which undergo mitosis to develop into gametophores. A protonema and emerging gametophores constitute a young gametophyte, which eventually matures into a mature gametophyte. The teeth-like projections on the capsule of the sporophyte are the components of the perosteum, a structure that acts as a sort of safety door that opens and closes depending on ambient moisture levels to ensure spores are released into conditions that favour germination. The distribution of the spores is also aided by the buildup of pressure within the capsule, which upon opening usually allows the spores to be fired into the air with enough force to cover a suitable distance. Additional structures on the capsule, including the calyptra and the operculum, provide extra protection for the developing spores until they are released. Like other bryophytes, ordinary moss is capable of asexual reproduction, which may require less energy and resources compared with sexual reproduction. However, it usually produces a genetically identical offspring, and a lack of genetic diversity could be an issue when it comes to adapting to changes in the environment. However, it could be argued that Brachythecium rutabulum has already demonstrated its adaptability. Its diploid structure, the sporophyte, on the otherwise haploid structure, the mature gametophyte, coupled with the use of meiosis and mitosis within its life cycle, and structures that encourage efficient spore production and distribution, could all be viewed as adaptations that have allowed it to not only survive, since it first evolved 460 million years ago, but thrive. Perhaps it's not so ordinary after all.